Hey there, Lord of the Rings SPG gamers. This is Powers. I've just come off finishing the intro clip to my last video, which will be Forays in Middle Earth number 7. So this will be the start of number 8, and in this one I'm going to be for here on out for the foreseeable future, barring any small side projects, I'm going to be working on prepping and getting started with painting my Rohirrim. A lot of work has already gone into my Rohirrim. However, there's a fiddly bit I'm dealing with right now, so I thought I'd make a good video. It'd be somewhat informative to some people. And essentially, I have a large job lot of Rohan I got a long time ago. It was a couple dozen riders, maybe 24 warriors, but they're all in pretty bad shape. There's also some Isengard in there, but I'm not covering those in this video. And a large number of the horses were broken. As you know, the old horses that came with the Riders of Rohan, I guess it's still the same ones unless they've changed them to the newer kind with 2 attachment points. But they were essentially they only attached at one spot on the foot to the base. So you'd have a horse with just one foot, and unfortunately, as nice as GW plastic is, it's not that sturdy, so a lot of times they would break, and it's really obnoxious. Now whenever I do old horses, I always make sure to put like a rock under another foot, or in the case of the Rohan, I'm probably going to actually drill extra pins into the front hooves of some of these rearing horses. But right now what I'm doing is I'm going through, and I have I think it's like 12 or 13 horses that are broken. And what I'm doing, like the feet are broken off, like a bunch of these little feet, and I have a bunch of horses missing feet, as you can see. So what I've done is I'm going through and I'm reattaching it. And it was suggested to me that one good way to fix this was to actually cut away part of the leg, add a long pin, and then resculpt the leg. That seems a little much. I'm sure it works very well. However, I am not the best with green stuff, and I don't feel like investing that sort of time because these are just going to be line troops. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially getting the feet, drilling as straight as I can through the foot. Get that to zoom a little bit better. You can see I've just drilled straight up through the foot. This is at 18 gauge wire. And I actually did a little research. If you want to use 18 gauge wire, you need to have 1.02 millimeter drill bits, which are sold. I just found them on Amazon for, I think it's $6 for 10 drill bits, which is awesome because pin vise bits tend to break, and I've only got one in the correct size. And that creates a really nice snug hole for this 18 gauge wire. And you just drill through, then you run the wire through, and this actually isn't attached to this wire. And this wire is going to be used to paint as well. As you can see with this one, I use this really long wire because I'm going to use this to stick it in some foam or cork or something and paint my horses. Let me pause the video. I want to go get my mass of horses that are attached to the foam just so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, I'm back. I just went and grabbed my, I call it my Fords of Bruinen. Really, it's just a funky offcut of foam insulation foam I'm using to hold all of these. These are all the ones that I did not have to do any work to, and these have already been cleaned and attached to the base, and these are ready for painting as soon as they've been primed. The rest of them have been primed. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with this. That's the reason for the long wire. It's probably a little bit too long. So what I'm doing is both of the poses of horse have enough space on the main leg portion, I suppose, to drill a hole. So I'm sticking the pin through the hoof and foot piece, and then I've drilled another small hole here, and I'm simply going to, this one doesn't have any glue on it, obviously, slide it up, and I'm going to super glue it using Loctite gel control. It's really good at filling gaps. That's why I'm using this. And some will squirt out the edges. Actually, let me just go ahead and do it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this one's ready to be glued, so I'm going to pull it back off of there. I'm going to put a small amount of glue right there. It's a small hole, so it's not going to take much. Take my foot and my hoof, make sure it's pointing the right direction. Get it nice and straight. And you can see some of the glue has kind of squirted out. You guys can't really see that. That's a shame. Let me turn my light here. That might help. Here we go. Yeah, you can see some of the glue is squirted out. So I'm just going to get an extra little offcut of this wire here. Just kind of smooth it out. And when I'm done with all of these, I'm going to go back over the ankle points with liquid green stuff just to really reinforce it. And what this has done is this is not as strong as it would be if I fully cut away the leg and re-sculpted the thing. But again, I don't have that kind of time in my life, unfortunately, and I'm not great with green stuff. So I think this is going to make a pretty strong attachment point. I have this other little bundle of these guys, and these actually have less room in the leg to attach the pin, and even so, these feel sturdier than the like stock horses. Like I've got, you know, one of these over here, and while that's pretty sturdy because it's untouched plastic, this feels strong. I'm not super worried about it, and I am going to go to extra lengths to make sure that all the feet have extra attachment points in it, or rocks or something clever to keep it disguised. So that's what I'm working on with Rohan right now. I also have, let me pause one more time. All right, I'm back. I also have gone with my 18 gauge wire. Here's a couple more horses. I did order 2 more Rohan Royal Guard. And I got another in a trade, so I now only need 1 or 2 to get the bare minimum number that I want to have. I want to go for at least half a dozen. I'd like to get more eventually just because I love the models. But I've gone in and all my detached models, some of the characters don't come off their horses, they're molded on. But all the models that aren't attached to horses, I've gone and mounted them on pins as well to get them ready for painting. This is something I've never done before, but I know from prior experience with... Actually, I take that back. I did something similar with my Knights of Minas Tirith, and I loved it. It made it so much easier to paint cavalry. And that's the other reason the horses are being done this way. Is the most frustrating part of horse painting is getting the undersides and all the different sides of the legs, because they're hard to reach those spots when they're attached to their base. So by doing them separately, I'll be able to knock all the horses out really quickly, because they're pretty simple compared to a lot of the mounted models, and B, I'll be able to mitigate that really annoying problem of trying to get up on the undersides of the horses. So anyways, I've got a bunch of guys here. The one model I traded for did not, or the one Royal Guard I traded for did not have a spear. So I chose a pose that would look good with a sword. And this guy can also double as a captain. Gave him a sword because they come with either, which I actually didn't realize. There's also a lot of poses of these Rohan Royal Guard. I think I have all 3. I know there's a 4th one. You see they're looking different directions. I like this guy a lot. He's got his arm down. But there's a 4th one that is the banner bearer pose, which was came with the De Agostini Battle Games in Middle-earth magazine. And you see those on eBay here and there. I'll pick one up eventually when I see a reasonable price. Then I've got Erkenbrand. I was really pleased to be able to pop him off his horse. He was super glued onto. Something else I got in a trade. So I have Theodred, Aemir, Theoden, some Royal Guard, and Outrider. I think that's it for those. And then I'm getting ready to do my Gandalf the White. I consider him part of the Rohirrim. And he's already done. He just needs to be attached to a base. Gaps have been filled, and he's ready to go. And then I have 2 different foot versions. And I think I've shown you guys some of this stuff before, but really like this one. This is a really great model. I really want the Minas Tirith mounted Gandalf, where he's got the sword and the horses rearing. I also managed in my most recent trade with Derek to get this old orc captain with the pick and piercing strike. And other than that, look, where did I put that stuff? The other really cool stuff I got in my most recent trade. I'm off on a wild tangent now, so I apologize for that. I've shown you some hobby stuff though, so enjoy it. And I also scored from Derek a Mordor Siege bow. Hasn't been assembled yet. I'm just getting these sorted out. A repeater crossbow with full crew. These were in the blister till I got a hold of them. And I have the 16 mil bases in there. I'm probably not going to mount them on those. They're a little bit big for the repeater crossbows, but I am going to put them on a base. And then my most coveted model that I've been trying to get from Derek for a really long time and will really go a long way in my collection is the mounted Witch King of Angmar model, where he's up on the horse rearing without the crown of the Morgul crown or the mace. So this model is awesome. I'm gonna give him some good TLC. This will probably be one of my tangent projects. I can't wait to finish him. And once I have him done, if I get 2 more mounted ring wraiths, I'll have all 9 vanilla ring wraiths on horse, which has been a goal of mine for a while now. I don't have the named ones. The named ones are great, but the models are insanely too expensive to justify buying. Maybe one day I'll collect them, but I'd rather stick with the regular ones. I think they look fine. And as long as I number the bases or something, I could use them as whatever I want. Yeah, so that's the end of this clip for now. I'll probably come back when I've... hopefully I'll not come back till I've done some actual painting or something. I think it's something cool to talk about. So in the meantime, I'm going to sign off for now, and I'll be back with something cool in the near future, hopefully. Guys, Powers, back with another quick segment on getting the Rohirrim ready. Just wanted to show some of the little things I've been doing. I'm still working on the horses. The ones I was working on yesterday, I finished repairing all the ankles. They're looking really sturdy. They're feeling really sturdy. I put the horses together and glued them. Now I had some others that were even more beat up that had some old super glue on them and things like that. So I have gone through and scraped as much of the glue off as possible, the big chunks anyway. Some of the thinner layers I can leave on there because they're going to be covered by paint, and then the model's going to be glued on, so it doesn't really matter. And I also added on a few of them an extra support piece that's going to be attached to the base. That's what this little short piece here is. And right now I had one particular horse that was the foot was broken off a little bit higher up, so I'm having to do a traditional pin job on. And I've always disliked pinning, but that's because I've never had the right size bits and pins and things like that. I've always been trying to improvise with old brass rod or paper clips and things like that. So I found out that this, I think I mentioned it in the last clip, the 18 gauge wire I've been using, which I've been doing a lot of stuff with this roll of wire, and this was dirt cheap. Next time I go to Walmart, I'll see how much it actually costs. But it's 110 feet, and you can see I've maybe used a third of it, not even. And that's with doing all the wire trees. I've used it for stuff around the house. This goes a long way, and it's working out really well. But I happen to have a drill bit that's exactly the right size. I found more on Amazon I'm about to order. But it works really well. It's just big enough, or just small enough to fit in the, let's see, just small enough to fit in the horse's leg without being too big, but it's a really nice snug fit. So I'm using it to pin things. All my loose horses are getting pinned. I'm even doing this guy for, I think I mentioned it a while ago. I have like 5 or 6 of these barded horses from the old Theoden model. And I'm using this one for Aemir. And I'm going to make him, I'm going to drill a hole in the top and attach a pin to the model so that I can use him as either the Captain of the Westfold, I don't remember, or Knight of the Pelennor. And I'm also probably going to do the same thing with Theodred, just so if I want to run them all together as the King's household, they'll look cool. I also did mount Theoden's horse on one of these larger oval bases, which I think looks really good. I know I'm probably going to use this in a tournament, but who takes Theoden to a tournament anyways? We all know he gets shut down pretty quick. Maybe that'll change one day, but if that's the case, then I'm going to have 2 more of these on a regular 40 mil base. Plus, I do think this looks better. There's a couple models I wish I might put on these. These are kind of expensive for what they are. But the Gandalf I showed yesterday, where his horse is all the way outstretched and he's got his arm up, I think that would look really, really nice on one of these bases. Just because the model is longer and thinner. The other thing I did is I have one of these that was not not broken on the base, but I went ahead and experimented with adding the front support to the leg. Worked really well. I just drilled up through the base. The horse was already attached. Drilled up through the base into the front of this front hoof, and just super glued it into the base because it doesn't need to bear a lot of weight, so I don't need green stuff on there or anything. And I can simply add, I'm simply going to paint it black or dark brown. It's hopefully just going to blend in. But I'm going to do this to all of the outstretched horses when they're eventually attached to bases. It's a little extra work, but I think it's going to be worth it because, I mean, this thing is like super solid. I started to do the same with these, but I couldn't quite get the pin to go up into the hole of the hoof because it's so close. So actually what I did is I just kind of pushed it over and glued the second hoof on. I did the same with this one. And it's almost imperceptible. It kind of bends the front leg a little bit, or the main attachment point, but you can barely tell. And if you glue the peg in at an angle, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to get on with finished pinning these, and hopefully in the next video I come back, I'll have gotten everything base coated, primed, and I'll be ready to start some painting. So keep on watching. Hey guys, I'm back with another segment in the saga of the Rohirrim. Right now I'm spray priming the horses, and I wanted to kind of show you a little bit about kind of how I do them and my method of how I use a spray stick, and I've kind of modified mine a little bit. So when I left you, I was finishing up putting all the horses on long pins, which I've completed. There you go. Now what I'm doing is I'm spraying the horses, and I've already done a good bunch of them. They're in this this box here. And what I've done is I went outside and I put all the pins. And when I did my Knights of Minas Tirith through the horses, I drilled a bunch of holes in my spray stick. For those of you who aren't familiar with what a spray stick is, it's a stick that you tape or otherwise stick your miniatures to and use it to get to spray them at all angles, essentially, and make sure you don't have any missed spots. That's actually one of my big pet peeves when painting, and something that sometimes holds me back is I really don't like priming and not getting the entire model covered. So I really enjoy using a spray stick. And it's even better with the horses because really what you end up having to do is take each one off individually to finish them. But it's really nice because if you wear a latex glove like I'm doing, I'm literally in the middle of this. I stopped to make this video. You can really hold it up and get all the points, just really quick bursts to get a nice even coat, which isn't super important with primer, but you do want to at least mostly dust most of the model so the paint has something to hang on to. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it. The other method of using a spray stick is you can use double-sided tape, which I don't know where mine is. You can use double-sided tape or something I've done in the past. Oh, here's my double-sided tape. Double-sided tape, this is a little tricky because you have to make sure the tape is really well stuck to the wood. But if you take I actually use like an old chopstick that I use for mixing paint and stuff. You can just kind of make sure the tape's really smushed down. And then stick your models to it. I only do that with plastic models. And then you can usually I've seen the GW guys do all 4 sides of a spray stick. I usually do at least 2. So that can get you on this one, which isn't very long. I can get about 12 to 14 models depending on how close together I put them. The other method I use if I'm doing heavy models or metal models, like heavy metal wargs or heavy mounts or trolls or anything that's any metal model you should do this with, is I'll take masking tape and I'll actually wrap from I'll put the model on the stick like this, There's the base. And then I'll actually take a piece of tape and just barely tape the edge and wrap all the way to the other side. And it uses a good bit of tape. It's about 3 inches of tape. But that gives you a really, really, really solid hold. And the model's not going anywhere. You have to be careful you don't cover up any of the feet or anything like that when you do it. But it's not too difficult to handle. Let's see. So I've done a bunch of the horses in black. I'm about to finish these off. They have some pretty bad spots. These were from that job lot. I think they were primed with the riders on them. And then I also have, I'm doing a bunch in white, as you could see, including Theoden's horse, because it's going to be white, snow mane, implies a white horse. So, and I tend to try to do character models. I tend to try to prime them white just because it gives you richer color, especially since I spend more time on faces typically with characters. So I'll do white for those. Let's see. Other quick updates just while I'm on the horn here. I recently purchased a box of Marananorks. I went and picked it up on Tuesday, and by Tuesday night they were primed and cleaned and ready to go. Hopefully I'll be able to bang these out really, really quick. This includes the infamous Mr. Potato Head with the derpiest face of any model in the range. So yeah, well, I'm gonna get back to spray priming these guys, and I think the next thing I need to do is I need to drill holes for some of the extra attachment points. I probably should have done that first, but it doesn't really matter as long as I'm careful. That way, some of these horses that are extending have a little bit more support. Let's see. I might even, I'm not sure. I might wait till I'm ready to attach them to the base after they've been painted. We'll see. I don't know. I don't really plan that much when I'm doing a big project like this. I just kind of pick it up when I can. So I'll leave you with that and keep on watching. Hopefully I have some more good stuff for the rest of episode 8. Hey guys, I'm back with another quick clip. Just a little update. I think it was my last clip I mentioned. I had some Marananorks I picked up on Tuesday. It's now Friday morning. I'm getting a late start with work, but I last night, since I got the Marananorks quickly assembled and primed on Tuesday, last night I went ahead and started painting them because they're really quick to paint. They're a little bit like Uruk-hai in that they're covered in a lot of armor, and I painted them very similar to how GW recommends you do Uruk-hai. I don't like to necessarily do Uruks this way. But basically, it's the armor is all dry brushing, and I started with tin bits. I don't know the new name of it. I still use my old pot of tin bits, followed by some bulk gunmetal, and then some chainmail or iron breaker as the final dry brush. And I think it came out pretty good. It's kind of hard to see these in the camera. There we go. Get them towards the light a little bit more. And where I left off last night, I finished I did the armor. I did 2 tones of skin. Let me find another guy with the other skin tone. Somebody with a decent face. I did Mr. Potato Head, of course. His chubby little chins. Let me see. These guys don't have the best faces because they're wearing full face helmets in most cases. Yeah, that was pretty good. I didn't spend a lot of time on the faces. They got a base coat and a wash. The gray is Shadow Gray, or I think it's called the Fang now, followed by a black wash, and that's going to get a highlight of Codex Gray, or Mechanicus Standard. The other one is a Vomit Brown. Again, sorry, I don't know the new name of it. And followed by the old GW Flesh Wash. And I'm going to do another highlight of Vomit Brown to finish that off. And then I've blacked out the hair. The hair is going to receive just a light highlight of Codex Gray. And the last few things to do are there's a few straps I need to hit with Rhinox hide. The straps and the spear shafts I'm going to hit with Rhinox hide and the boots. And then the cloth is going to receive, I think I'm going to do, it's Mephiston Red maybe? Whichever one is Red Gore was switched over to. A dark red followed by the GW Flesh Wash to give it kind of a greasy look and some good shading. And then a Final highlight of the red mixed with some flesh tone to lighten it up just a tad. The other thing I've been working on quickly this morning, because it's been bothering me, is, let me set this aside. Pardon my food mess in the background. I've got all my Rohan infantry down here, and I want to start priming these, and I realized a bunch of them aren't glued. So I've got all the guys on my keyboard here. There's about 10 here that have been glued, and then the rest need to be glued together, mold lines removed, and shields attached. I originally was going to leave the shields off for painting, but it's going to be difficult to hold on to them. The shields are really small. There's a hole in the middle. There's not a good way to hold. I thought about sticking them on like a matchstick or a toothpick or something, and I didn't really like that idea. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue them on. I'm going to batch paint these anyway, so they're not going to be great. The only other weird things I need to do are I have the horn blower here. Ooh. Uh-oh. That was a close one. Hornblower here, whose arm needs to be reattached. I pulled it off, and I'm going to give him a weapon. The guy I got these from gave him this dumb, like, orc head thing and, like, took away the awesome spear he had. So I need to figure something out with that. I might try to give him his own spear again with some brass rod or something. So I got to fix this guy, clean him up a little bit, and then the banner bearer is in pretty poor shape. The attachment point on the back has come loose. I'm sure you can see that right there off the hair. And the shaft is super, super gnarly. So I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remove this whole section right here and replace it with some 18 gauge wire. It's about the same diameter. And I'm going to make the banner just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit taller. And I think that will make this this piece quite a bit nicer. And it'll make his freaking pole straight, and as opposed to being all curly swirly. Again, this is old. I think this is old fine cast, so it's not the best quality cast. We'll wait and see. I don't know. I had some trouble getting paint off some of these as well. I got to fix his sword too. I just realized. So that's what I have on my plate. And I've got some of the inventory primed. I want to try to get most of the army prepped for painting. That way I don't have to stop and do any prep work on them, including all the metal models. I might even go ahead and pre-base, so I don't have to do that at the end, since they're just going to get a base coat of sand with probably some static grass and things like that. So I'm going to leave you now and hopefully come back with the rest of these guys ready to go. Not really sure. I don't like to make promises because my plans change at the last minute oftentimes, and I have a life. So keep watching, guys, and hope to be back soon with some more stuff. Hey SPG gamers, I'm back. It's now Monday. I think I left you on Friday morning. I got a good bit done over the weekend. I was up really late Friday and Saturday night. My wife fell asleep on the couch, so I took advantage of that and stayed up till like 3:30 in the morning painting. So first off, I finished the Moranans. I just finished the base rims today, and let me show you those just all together on my little palette here. I think they came out pretty well. I didn't end up spending too much extra time on the skin, but as you can see, the trousers and the little skirt things and the sleeves all got painted. The wood of the shields. I'll kind of go through and show you each color. It's going to be hard to get this just right. So it's kind of hard to tell, but the pants got a base coat of Steel Legion Drab, and the cloth got a base coat. It was Wazdaka Red. That's the red I was using. And the wood also got Steel Legion Drab. And then all those parts received a wash of the GW Flesh Wash, which gave it like a really greasy kind of look. You can kind of see it in the recesses. It's more or less like using Devlin Mud or Reikland Flesh Shade or one of those, but just got a little bit more of a sheen to it, because I think it's more of an ink, which is what they used to, that's what all the washes used to be, is inks, and they do technically behave differently than the current washes they produce. So after those were washed, they received a highlight of just the base color to brighten them back up, and I think they came out really well. The wash was a little heavy on some of the models, but overall I think they turned out pretty good. So all the pants were the brown, and then the Some of the sleeves were red, I think. And there's a couple guys with fur. These two had, you can see around their collars, they kind of have that like fur collar thing going on. And those were based mechanic and standard, and then just received a straight wash with that same flesh wash to make them look like dirty, like a dirty old like hide that they might be wearing. It works, you know. So those are finished. They look really nice. They're part of, if I go to Nova, they're going to probably be part of my Nova army. Derek helped me, it's kind of helping me work on a list, and includes a really nice mix of regular orcs, Morannons, and Mordor Uruk-hai. And then the other thing I was working on is the Warriors of Rohan, or all the foot Rohan dudes. And so I went through, I think I already showed these. This is just some, you know, a bunch of bowmen. I have 21 bowmen, should be 22, but my son has one of them. I just donated to his collection. And the rest I finished cleaning up and gluing the other infantry, the hand weapon and spear guys. I was talking about converting this banner to beef him up, and which I did. Again, this is the 18 gauge wire. Ooh, that's really washed out. The 18 gauge wire. The other night I tried to straighten his sword, but I guess that's not happening. Thank you, Failcast. Games Workshop, please stop making it. Go back to metal. And I know that's never gonna happen, but you know that's my preference. And so I got that mounted on. I did a pretty good job. It's a little bit off from this angle. You're not gonna really be able to tell. And then I, again, another Failcast thing is I perfectly centered the drill hole on this, and then realized that this like wasn't fully enclosed, like where it should be. There's like a weird lip in the cast. So it sticks in there really, really securely, and once I add glue, it'll be fine. You can see I actually raised the banner up a little bit, and even without glue, it's already way more sturdy than it was. That thing's not going anywhere, and it'll be more prominent on the table. I mean, before it was a pretty short banner pole, honestly. Banners, I feel like, need to be on a much longer pole, you know. And then the other guy, the horn blower, I popped that stupid beheaded skull off, and this one's going to be a little tricky. I drilled through his hand just fine, added a rod. I'm not sure how to make a spearhead. I don't really want to press mold one. The other thing is the cast is a little odd, so and he needs to have his spear like really low, holding it like on a really low choke, to use like a baseball term. And so I'm going to have him kind of like pointing with it, I think. Kind of like this. You know. And I might just paint a spear. That's kind of cheesy, but I might have to do that. I don't have the ability to order any right now from Gripping Beast or anything. So, I don't know. That might look okay. And then I have a couple other guys that needed weapons, so I actually used Warg Rider swords, and I think that looks pretty good. It's a little out of character, but, you know, it's kind of more of a scimitar. Maybe he looted it, who knows. So I have a couple guys who need weapons, and then there's a spear who needs, for him, I'll just take his spearhead to you know, and put a rod there probably. I'm waiting on some 0.85 millimeter drill bits to use some of the brass rod I have, just a bit thinner than this the 18 gauge wire. So that's where I'm at. It felt really nice to knock these Morannons out. I'll do another shot of those from the front. Felt really nice to knock the Morannon orcs out, just because, you know, it's nice to finish stuff. They were a quick project. I wasn't really planning on doing them, but they came like I picked them up last Tuesday and they're already painted. So in under a week. I mean, they were really done. Weren't technically done until today because of the basing, but I did my same ash waste bases with it, which is painted black with gray dry brush followed by Ushabti bone. You can also do a rotting flesh. Makes a nice highlight for that. It's pretty close. So yeah, one really cool thing I hadn't thought to talk about with the Morannon Orc kit is there's a lot of variety in the weapons. As you can see, just from these guys in the front, you get a mace and an axe. And then, of course, the rest are just spears and hand weapons. But, I mean, you get a mace, you can stun with it. Or I can't remember, is it stun or bat? I think it's stun with a mace. And then the axe, of course, is piercing strike. So that's kind of a nice little option there. So, yeah, that's all for today. The move is coming along smoothly. I got a chance to go check out the house. And I checked out what will be the workshop. It's even every time I go back, I'm just amazed at how big it is. It's a really large space. I'm really excited to, figure out how I'm going to set it up, I guess. So I'll leave you with that, guys. Keep watching this video. The next video, I'll probably round out this episode and go ahead and get it posted up. And then maybe in the near future, I'll have some more varied content instead of just hobby vlog stuff. I might have some discussion of army lists or tactics or, who knows. So thanks for watching, guys. See you shortly. Hey SPG gamers, this is going to be the final part of episode 8, and I don't believe I'm going to do an intro video to this one just because it's a little bit shorter, and I remember what I've filmed, since it's only been in the last couple of days. So it's now Wednesday of the week, and I want to go ahead and wrap this one up because I got a lot of stuff going on and I didn't want to leave a really big gap between videos. So I'm going to kind of close out this one by kind of showing you where I'm at with the Rohirrim, and some new stuff I just got in the mail today. So first is the Hornblower. I'd mentioned I was going to have to put his spear really high up, but I was actually, once I got the arm on, I realized I could get it all the way down. So this is much closer to what the actual sculpt looks like. I think on the actual sculpt, the spear would be held straight up and down as opposed to kind of at an angle. Still need to figure out what to do about the spear tip. I kind of cut it to a sort of point, but I'm not super happy with it. So that's him. So you can probably hear the guy mowing my grass in the background. And then here's the banner bearer. Again, I think it came out pretty well. You can see where I mentioned I had some issues. Sorry, the sun's coming in a weird angle too. You can see right there where the wire goes into the banner that I kind of had to clump some glue on there to get it to hold. But it's still, it's pretty strong. It's not flexing hardly at all, as it was when it was just fine cast. So there's him. He looks pretty good. Banner's a little higher, things like that. I also repaired one of the spears with the 18 gauge wire. I think that also came out really well. It's almost the exact diameter. So that's going to be my method going forward. And then today in the mail, I paid $50 shipped for 2 blisters of Fountain Court metal, a blister of Citadel Guard with bows, metal. Well, I think those are still metal. 2 blisters of Uruk-hai Scout Archers, which will actually give me a full 24, I think. Actually, more than 24. Because before I didn't have quite enough archers to have like 8, 8, and 8. I have more archers than I need, but whatever. And lastly, the old Gothmog on Warg. His arm up, kind of behind him. And yeah, the way I found them was every so often I'll go on the trade groups for other game systems, and I'll make a post like, hey, I have, I usually stick with stuff I have so I can offer trades as opposed to money. I went on the BattleTech International Trade and Sell, and I just asked. I do it every couple months just to see who's out there, because a lot of people have Lord of the Rings and Hobbit stuff just stashed away in closets or boxes. And I said, hey, does anybody have any of this stuff? And this guy got in touch with me, and he didn't even want trades. He was like, how much do you want to offer me for these? And I said, I don't know, man. They'll go for about $12 for 3 warriors on eBay sometimes, usually a little bit more. And he was like, how about 50 for all of it shipped? And I said, sure. And they came today, so that was a pretty nice deal. That's less than the original MSRP, which was about $9. And I got 6 blisters, so once you factor in the shipping, it's probably $6 of shipping. So I paid $5 a blister, which is hard to beat. I guess while I got this box, I'll show you some of my other stuff. There's some stuff I've yet to put together that has been languishing. A couple golems. I have Elisar on horse. I have all the Heroes of the West set, so all of those poses. I'm not going to get them out because they're just, regular dudes. Then I've got, let's see, Sam and Frodo in orc armor, so that'll be fun to paint. And Sam and Frodo on Mount Doom. There you go, just wearing the sweaty clothes. Sweaty clothes editions. And I think this one is Oh, this is the Merry and Pippin that came with the Grishnock kit. You see Merry, Pippin, and Grishnock in a blister, and it's them like kind of running from him, outside Fangorn Forest. And then I have, I think this is from Gollum, Sam, and Frodo. I have a Sam and a Frodo. Is this Frodo? Yeah, Sam and Frodo. This is the Two Towers version, I think. Gollum, Sam, and Frodo. That's the crouching Gollum I had. The Gollum I don't have is the one... I have none of the Hobbit ones, obviously, but I don't have the one where he is eating the fish. I'd like to get that one just to have it. I think it's a cool model. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at now. And just a quick update. I am about to moving on the 15th, and things are going to get really wild. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually pausing the Rohan project. I have a small Durin's folk army, and I have a bunch of horses that are all primed and ready to paint. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to pack everything up, all my tools and whatnot, and just leave out painting stuff and those models so I can paint at night after the kids go to bed and stuff. I'm not going to push myself or anything like that. I'm just going to do my best. If I get some painting done, great. If not, whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and try to pack everything up because I've got a lot of stuff. Maybe one of these days I'll do a tour. Well, I'll wait till I move to do a tour of my workspace. Kind of show you how I do things. And yeah, so Rohan's being put on pause, except for the horses. I might get some painted. And when I get settled in the new house, hopefully I'll be able to get back on it. Maybe I'll have all the horses painted. I highly doubt it. But so that's where I'm at, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to comment, like, share, subscribe. Subscribe to the channel notifications with the little bell icon down below. Look for Dan and Joe's stuff. I think Joe just finished a bunch of Joe just finished his Iron Hills. He got them painted up, and I think he's raring to play those. And so be looking I think he's already featured in some battle reports actually. Check out the new Thranduil model. It looks awesome. Steve Crow just put up some pictures today. His skin is amazing. He's a good painter, but he made that thing look good. So check out Thranduil. And keep buying models. Support your Hobbit hobby. If you're in the U.S. and you have a Games Workshop near you, if you want to support the store, you can actually make sure you go into the store to order stuff online. They don't carry most stores, unless they're a certain size, won't carry Games Workshop Hobbit stuff on the shelf. But you can go in, and if you order it through the in-store kiosk, that store will get credit for it. And the store manager will love you for it. So be sure and do that. It will that goes a long way to show like local managers that you're serious about the community and you want to help them out, because they get direct. It's as if you bought it off the shelf in terms of how they get credited for it, I guess. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. And I'll see you in episode 9 of Forays in Middle Earth.